Okay, as they say, we're back. Okay, let's try. Next item is on the agenda is public forum. Anybody have anything they want to bring to our attention not already on the agenda? Oh, moving on. Minutes. Approval of minutes October 10th, 2017.
Make a motion, we approve as written.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. All in favor of that? And Jason's abstains.
Who was it was Dan and Don?
Yep. And your board reports, RSU 21, Dan?
Yep, this was a lengthy meeting, I'll try to be brief. So it started off with some presentations. The first presentation was on a strategic plan for Focus Area 1. And Focus Area 1 had to do with teaching and learning. So in their strategic plan, they've got a bunch of goals. And Phil Potenziano gave a report on all those. I won't go through all this. It's a 5-page report. Somebody is so interested and wants to see that, they can go on the RSU 21 website. It's all there. Consent agenda items. One of the items of significance was Reese and Alina Saunders. I believe their parents or their mother is a teacher here at MLD. One wrote a poem and the other one did a drawing, and the poem had to do with drunk driving and drunk driving awareness. So they presented that, and it's something that's going to be put on a wall somewhere at the Kennebunk High School. It was a pretty nice thing to do. Old business, they had some new co-curricular programs that they approved. One of them was the Kennebunk High School Art Club. The next one was the Rampage, which I guess has got a new name called the Herd. That's the school newspaper. The Feminist Club, the Environmental Awareness Club, and the Kennebunk High School Drama Club. All those got approved. Let's see, they were each $1,100. One of them was $1,400 to fund, and they've already had that in their budget. Committee reports, Finance Committee, they talked about capital reserve strategy and how to fund it. Velma can say more if she has some more information after. Pre-K Committee, they reviewed the data from the surveys. They had 431 surveys that came back, so they reviewed all of that data. They're going to do a workshop in November. They're going to look at projected financials to do that. Apparently there is some state funding that is available for that, so they're going to look into that stuff. Human resources, teacher negotiations are still ongoing, and they're going to do some small changes to adult ed. I didn't get what those changes were. But the other one was the approval of the superintendent goals, and some of those goals have a cash payout if they're met. On the communications side, they had a lengthy Facebook page discussion. They talked about firewall security and network issues on that. That's still an ongoing subject. For facilities, the meeting on that was talking about the Kennebunkport Consolidated School drainage issues. You remember a few meetings ago, talked about some drainage issues there. Rudy presented a whole bunch of different scenarios. They go from $6,000 to $30,000, and they can mix and match a few of those. They haven't made a determination on which route they're going to go with that yet. They're kind of holding back a little bit, seeing as the renovations at the high school end. They think that they're going to have some funds left over, and at that point they'll look to see how they can allocate those funds. If you remember, the drainage issues that are there are more an aesthetic issue, not a the drainage doesn't work, so they're kind of working that issue. Policies, there was a whole bunch of first readings that they did. Family and medical leave policy, family care leave, resignation of school unit employees, student allergies, administrative procedures for students with allergies. Those got all approved for first readings. Second readings all got approved, Board of School Directors, Finance Committee, Policy Committee, Facilities and Operations Committee, Human Resource Committee, Communications Committee, and School Attorney Legal Services. Those all got approved. They had a bunch of policies that got deleted, and those were recommended by their attorney because they're either covered by the contract or covered by state law. And that was employee involvement in school operations, teaching load and special duties, leave of absence, substitute teachers, parent-teacher conferences, employee termination, ownership of intellectual property, and school session. All those were deleted. Let's see. School liaisons, MLD has got a Halloween party Saturday, October 28th, from 3 to 6 p.m. If any of you want to come with your Halloween costumes, feel free to come on in and have some fun. We adjourned at 9:38 p.m.
That's the end.
Yep, the Finance Committee met Thursday, October 12th at 7:30 a.m. KES in room 102. The first thing we talked about was the plan for the joint meeting between Finance and Facilities, because we need to know and to get a good handle on what funds may be left at the end of the projects, and then those funds will be designated towards wants versus needs. And the two things that they looked at was the consolidated school drainage project and the KHS athletics complex. We talked, the fund balance was fine. We talked about investment restrictions. The EPA grant has been received. We talked about insurance expense projections. They're putting that together. They're talking about the anatomy of a budget, what the budget drivers are, what the priorities are, what the fixed costs are. And when they do the budget, an idea was to put a glossary of budget terms, so that you would have something like a fund balance and reserve. There would be a glossary there with the information explaining to people exactly what that meant. And our next meeting is November 9th.
Questions from anybody? Okay. We've got a manager's report. First item is a RSU 21 building project newsletter.
Yes, I provided one in your packet. I didn't know if any of our members made the tour at the high school on the 11th. If they did, maybe they can share when they made it. The newsletter pretty well gives an update as to the process that they're in now and how far along they are at this particular point. Next thing that I received was a note from Adria O'Horn, the Director of the Maine Veterans Services, thanking the town for its donation to the Southern Maine Veterans Cemetery Association in our generosity. Received a notice from the Department of Agriculture, Conservation and Forestry indicating that they're looking at a proposal for the Old Talbot Farm for grant funding under the Land for Maine's Future program. They will know, I believe, later on whether or not that particular property will have the notation in the money from them, so we'll know better after November 11th when they make their final selections.
Is that the entire farm or just part of it? Do you know? It didn't say?
It's the Old Talbot Farm, and it's all the property that I believe that
Both sides of the road?
Yep, both sides of the road.
That Mr. Panett bought?
Yes.
Yeah.
The next thing I have was a request, and this has been an annual request from the MS Great Maine Getaway, MS Bike Great Maine Getaway, yearly. Next year will be August 11th and 12th. They have various biking events. That part of it comes through Arundel. The most significant piece is on Sunday on the 25 miler, which uses quite a bit They use Senate Road and River Road and Arundel Road, Limerick Road. They have a stop at the fire station. So Sunday is the biggest event. But I bring it to your attention, unless I hear strong objections, I'm going to go ahead and sign it as I have in the past for the town for that event.
With that event, since I live on the River Road and know about all these bikes going by, we might want to also let the sheriff's department know so that they can make a goodly appearance that day, because traffic is all over the place that day.
And
With cars trying to get around the bikes.
You're talking about the Sunday event, right?
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
actually either one,
Okay.
because of course there's no bike lane on the roads, and with all the bikes going up the road, sometimes they might be too abreast going up the road, and traffic trying to get around them, it can sometimes be, look quite dangerous.
Yeah, they said that they're sending a letter to the chief of police, but it doesn't help us.
Yeah. Now, we'll make sure that Alan gets
Yeah.
to the sheriff's office, to ensure that that's taken care of.
This doesn't cost us any.
No, it does not. No, they bring in a porta potty, they put it in our parking lot, they take care of all those costs.
And they might wanna get some bigger signs that say, slow bicycle event in process or something, so that people will know that when they come across the railroad track headed for Kennebunkport, and all of a sudden they meet 40 bikes, yeah, something's going on.
Sure. Finally, for me, just to, we had a visit from our MMA Risk Management Services back in September 5th. They are, what they do is being our insurance provider, they come in and they do a review of our properties to ensure that we have proper steps in place in the event that we have an audit from the Maine Department of Labor. They're here to try to assist us in taking care of some of our issues. Every time they give us a long list of things that they like us to do. Is varying things to do at the town hall in reference to the use of power cords, video training for staff. You've noticed that we have to have an increase to our railing system on our fire escape, which Public Works is doing for us, and then we have to have a GFI protection on our, surge protection on our sump pump downstairs. So these are little things that they pick up, but these things are helpful for us. It's almost like doing an audit, so we keep ahead of these things. And then obviously, Public Works always gets hit with annual training and record keeping and things along those lines, protocols and picking up needles on the side of the road and things like that. So just to let you know that we have a list, we'll be working through the list, and hopefully we'll avoid when the Department of Labor mysteriously shows up and gives us an audit.
Now, will they come back and check those things out, or?
No, there's a completion date that they've proposed, and then once we complete them, we notify MMA, and then they knock it, they check it off as something that they don't have to come back to and refer to again. And they do it on a yearly basis. That's all I have.
Okay. Well, business, Jason, fire station?
Yeah, we need to come up with an option for a barrier on that corner. We have several firemen that will not sleep in that front bedroom for fear that this is gonna happen again. I know we've talked about maybe a guardrail, some rocks, some shrubs, and we need to do something like this. I feel as if it's a liability at this point, where we haven't done anything.
Great big rocks, line right around, and, line them up, make them look good.
Yeah, I had spoken to the planner about doing a landscape design and some trees, but they wouldn't be anywhere near the size that we'd need to protect those folks there in the beginning.
Right.
So,
Maybe
yeah,
we coordinate with Roger. I don't wanna screw him plowing either,
right,
Something on that corner though that.
something to barricade that.
Gonna take the
Gotcha.
vehicle.
I'm not quite sure what we want aesthetically. I do know that they have a variety of products out there that would give us some sort of barricade that would look decent. But yeah, I hear what you're saying.
Even, as Bill said, some big rocks that would be aesthetically landscaping, it would look as though they were landscaping type products. Although I don't know how much of a vehicle they would stop.
How big the rock is.
Bigger the rock, the bigger the vehicle.
Yeah,
I'm thinking about it, stop a bit.
stop a vehicle.
You got some rocks that you can give us?
And we have rocks.
Well, maybe,
Well, I'll talk with Roger, and we'll try to come up with some sort of plan.
Roger needs 4 or 5 rocks, he's 4 or 5 trucks.
Okay. All right, good. Thanks, Jason.
And, you know, this hasn't been said publicly, but I think we need to thank Selectman Nettle for all his efforts with respect to restoring the fire station.
Yeah.
Nice job.
yeah.
Good, good.
That's
Good.
The sign looks good too.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
that's
like that better than
great.
that. I agree. Yeah.
And just a side note on that, we did make our final submittal to the insurance company to get our final $5,287 out of them, so thanks for Jason getting all that paperwork into me, and we sent it along, so it's done.
Yeah, came out good. Nice
It
project.
is.
I'm sorry, was that the final amount or the full amount? That is the final payment from the insurance company. Once they gave us a first payment of about $47,000, and then the last payment would make up whatever difference, as long as we showed them the invoices that we actually paid that company.
And which some of it came
The
out
additional,
of town, the
right,
side.
the additional money was approved by the board through actions. When we got to the point where we wanted to vinyl side it, they decided to, so we added almost $24,000 to the project to take care of the vinyl siding, things along those lines, yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, on the new business, we're taking care of everything except approval of payroll.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor? Okay, so then we're going to move into executive session under Title I, MRS Section 4056C, to discuss the purchase of Limerick Road property with the Arundel Conservation Trust.
So moved.
All in favor?
Just would like to object to the executive session on behalf of the Kennebunk Post and its readers.
Thank you.
Um,
Objection is noted.
Can I say that?
Oh, sure, go ahead.
The Maine Freedom of Access Act says that you can go into executive sessions for real estate issues, as you cited on the agenda, only when premature knowledge of the negotiations would hurt the town's bargaining position. There's nothing to hurt here. We know who we're dealing with, we know who we're buying it from, who we're buying it with, how much the town is authorized to pay. And so it doesn't seem as though going into executive session to talk with your Arundel Land Trust about division of the land, or even an update on the purchase and sale agreement, wouldn't seem like the type of item that is permissible under executive session law, under the Freedom of Access Act. It would seem to be not something that is protecting the town's position, but protecting the board and the land trust from having to say things in public.
Okay.
I don't know if it affects you too hard, but if you could give me some kind of a comment on why you think it is an appropriate executive session, that would be appreciated.
I think it's appropriate because we have not as yet negotiated the terms of the arrangement with the land trust at this point in time. I'm not sure they know all the terms and conditions of the contract, which may be something that has to be altered or amended down the road based upon the conditions. So I think we'd have to have an opportunity to discuss those things in private.
Thank you.